So I turned around, smashed my foot into the bin, and then I turned around, no, Thomas, cool, stay cool. For 10 seconds, turned around, smashed my foot into the bin again, and said, no, cool. I got a job at Brentford because Rasmus Ankersen, one of the two sports directors, called me in September, October, I can't remember now, 2016, and asked me if I wanted to be an assistant head coach for Dean Smith, together with Richard Kelly. And my initial thought was, I stopped as a head coach for Brøndby in March 2016, and after that, I wanted a couple of months off just to relax and recharge the batteries and getting up to normal energy level. But my ambition was to be a head coach again, but it also was to get abroad, to try another country. It was actually 50-50 of me, my career. Wanted to do something away from Denmark, and my wife Nana and I and our 3 children wanted to experience another culture, another challenge. You never find that work-life balance, It's impossible, but you can try. He called me. I said yes to the first interview. And after the first one, I called my wife Nana, and she said, how was it? Because for her it was perfect. It was London, and I was assistant manager. So not all the pressure from being a manager or head coach. And I was a little bit, you know what, I'm a little bit in doubt. I could just hear her disappointment in the voice. But anyway, after 2 other interviews, the role and the club was growing on me. And in the end, I said yes. And then I was assistant manager for almost 2 years until October 18. And in that stage, Dean Smith left for Aston Villa to be a head coach there. And I was asked if I wanted to take over and step up and be the head coach. I gladly said yes. I'm very pleased for what I learned to be as an assistant coach, and learned the club, championship, England. But now it was the right time for me to be in charge again. One of the reasons why I decided to come to Brentford was there was a couple of things that really were aligned with how I see things. For example, the style of play that they were playing was the way I wanted to play, in terms of we wanted to be aggressive pressing team, plus we wanted to dominate on the ball and really take charge of the games. So that was very interesting for me, because I think you need to have a unique or specific style of play that you believe in. So that ticked the box. I think culture is as important, and they had just a strong culture that we have built even stronger, I would say, over the last 5 years, in terms of how we see we should develop people and players and staff members. But we have 4 main operating principles: togetherness. We say no-dickheads culture, so only good people. We have hard work. You don't achieve anything without hard work. We talk about performance. That's a big thing. It's performance first for everything. And then we have attitude. And I always say confident but humble. And then if you have the style of play, you have the culture, I think it's extremely important. How do you recruit these players that need to fit into the style of play and to the system? And the way we've done in Brentford in terms of recruitment, we are very big on different models. But of course, we watch a lot of games as well. So the players need to fit the style of play, need to fit as best as possible the position. Then the references need to fit the culture. So no dickheads, good people. When we then get them in that culture, in the philosophy, in the idea of developing young people, we put a lot of effort into it and a lot of resources into it. So, for example, our coaching staff is very aware of it. My background is I'm from talent development. I've been a coach for 28 years now. The 21st years I was a talent developer. So that's I'm born and raised, and that's my whole background. So I'm very aware of that, developing people. My assistant head coach, Brian Reamer, same. Kevin O'Connor also came through the B team as a coach. So we're very, very focused on that. Then we have a sports psychologist, then we have a sleep coach, then we have nutritionists, then we have chefs, then we have a set piece coach, then we have we have a lot of external resources. So I think it's an area that we put a lot of effort into, and a clear structure and alignment, and really, really consistent in what we're doing day in, day out. And now I think we're going towards, you can really see that more or less all our players, are improving. Just to see if the board, the owner, sports directors, really trusted me. Then I decided to lose 8 out of the first 10 games. And luckily they trusted me. And from there on, we built it, finished the season strong, found the system and the way to use the players. And then we did like we always have done in Brentford, sold our best players for millions of pounds. Bought in quite a few that summer, actually, in summer 2019. And we knew that we could build potentially a top 6 team. That was the aim. Of course, we lost our top scorer, Neil Maupay, to Brighton. And we actually didn't get another striker in, which is quite remarkable, because we could see that there was a big potential in Ollie Watkins to play as a striker. So we went all in on that. So actually the striker was in-house. And he already been with us for 2 years. And I remember clearly that Brian Reimer and we sat down with him and said, you're not going anywhere now. If you're going to leave us, you need to finish on a high. So this season you just had was an average season. If you need to go, you need to finish on a high. But I can just see the current squad we had, but also we really built it. We got a new goalkeeper, David Raya. We got 2 new centre-backs, Ethan Pinnock and Pontus Jansson in. We got a number 6 in Christian Nørgaard. So that was the core of the defense, keeper, 2 centre-backs, and a 6. Then we got another midfielder in, Mathias Jensen. Then we got a winger in, Brian Mbeumo. So that was some really good players you can see now. But of course, it can take a little bit of time to get the glue and the alignment in the team. But the foundation was there. And I can just see, when it's clicking, I don't know exactly. And then it just, started to click in the end of the fall. And we could see, this looks really, really interesting. We had 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and the 2 first weeks were we could only train them 1-on-1 the first week, and then they were only 5-on-5, and it was very strange. But we find a good way to do it and still try to integrate it. Different tactical bits, and then they came back in a good place. Of course, we've been in contact with them. We had a few injuries just before the corona, so everyone was now fit, so we could play our strongest 11, and we did that. Only changed a few, and then we just hit that momentum. So the first game against Fulham, played a good game, and we won with scoring first goal in the 88th minute, and then in the injury time, won 2-0 away. And then we played against West Brom, that we beat 1-0. And then we just got that confidence building, and I think we won the next. So we won 7 in a row in that after Corona season, and then we're going into the last two. So we had Stoke and Barnsley left, and going into the Stoke game, we knew that West Brom lost the night before. We played 12:30 in Stoke. And that was a different feeling. You could suddenly, from us chasing West Brom, we suddenly, with a win, could go past them, automatic promotion. And there were definitely some players that, could feel the pressure, and the dynamic just changed. But I would say only 2 and 3. And then, people are saying, they bottle it. You're winning seven games on a spin, and then they can't win. If anyone is watching that game and they will see a game, we will win or draw 6-7 times out of 10. If you look at the chances, it's such a random game. So it's crazy we didn't get a draw in that game, and even a draw would have been enough for us to could do everything in the last game. Anyway, we are then going into the Barnsley game. We still know if West Brom are not winning, we with a win against Barnsley can get promoted. And then we're getting 1-0 down, and we come back 1-1, and we're keeping all the pressure on Barnsley, and we missed 2 big chances. And then in the 90th minute, because Barnsley have to win as well, they scored 2-1, and then we find out that West Brom is played 2-2 with QPR. So that was quite tough to take. That was a lot of frustrations, a lot of emotions in the dressing room that you need to take care of. That emotional roller coaster you're into is unbelievable. It's crazy. People can't understand it. And then we need to prepare for the Swansea games, playoffs, because we still had a chance. Because we played every third day, because they're still so compressed, the season. So we need to get the team ready for the first semi-final. So we actually got the team ready, played relatively well, got a wrong red card. So another, hit to the face. So we really need to show the resilience. After the red card, we lost 1-0. Then going into the home game, where we just battered Swansea and won 3-1, 3-0 up, 2-0 after 30 minutes. That just shows all the strength and the capacity in that fantastic team. Then we went into the playoff final against Fulham, which we beat 1-0 and 2-0 in the season. And then you're losing the playoff final in extra time on a mistake from maybe the best goalkeeper in the division, David Raya, in his first season. So football is such a random game that you can play your best game, and one moment can decide the game. One little mistake. We sold our 2 best players, Ollie Watkins, Said Benrahma, maybe also 2 of the best players, or the 2 best players in Championship. So some big shoes to fill out. So it was Ivan Toney that was the main man we wanted to go for. And we were able to set up a meeting with him. And the way we do it is that I present how I see our style of play. What are the key criteria that this striker needs to do in the way we play? And then I show that he actually fit those key criteria. For example, how is he attacking the box? How is his link-up play? And how is his pressing abilities? So I showed that it was actually more or less a perfect match for him to come to us. And he was interested, but he was also a little bit in doubt. And then time went, and then I had to call him from the minimal holiday I had in Denmark. I clearly remember I stood outside my sister-in-law, I think's house, where we were in to visit them. I had to call Ivan, and I called him. I said, Ivan, I don't get it. I know maybe other clubs are interested, but if you're coming to us, I said that in the meeting, I guarantee you again, if you come to us, you're scoring minimum 25 goals. The way we play, the type you are, that's for sure. And then either we get promoted, and then we play in the Premier League together, or if not, then you've proven yourself that we will never promise players that they can go, but maybe get the move to Premier League anyway. But it's plan A. You score more than 25 goals, and then we go to Premier League together. And we went to Premier League together, and he scored 33 goals. So I actually lied to him. I should have said a little bit more. Going into that season, I was fairly confident that we could do something big this year, because yes, we sold 2 fantastic players, but I had a fantastic feeling that Ivan Toney could fill the role. And we went on this fantastic unbeaten run, 21 games in a row, and we're top of the table. And then the injuries hit us to 2 fullbacks, Rico Henry, Henrik Dalsgaard, Justice Silva, were the 3 main guys. We've been playing without Christian Nørgaard 70% of the whole season. So we struggled there. Managed to get back into it, but it was just too late to go automatic. But when you have been through a playoff final, if you won it, then you want to win it that way, because that's just the most terrifying and the biggest joy when it succeeds. That Bournemouth game, the second playoff semi-final. When we were talking masterclass, that was a masterclass. Everything was prepared. We knew what they wanted to do. Of course, it did change things a bit. So we actually did the final tactical meeting in the dressing room. Short video of the tactical bits, short video of motivational stuff. I also changed my speech before the game. A tiny bit. It was very rare I do it in a huddle, but this time I did it in a huddle. But instead of standing out there with the players, I stood in the middle and I talked about we need to have big presence, and I pointed on Ivan Toney, and we needed to be aggressive. And then I pointed on Ethan Pinnock. He's not that aggressive. And Matthijs Jensen, you need to be aggressive today. And we need coolness. And I pointed on Sergi and Pontus and so on. And I kept so through all the players. And then Christian Nørgaard, he was injured, unfortunately. In the warm-up, we knew it was a tight one. And then he said something in the end. He asked if he could do that, and it was very emotional for everyone. So I almost get goosebumps now when I think about it. So everything planned. I even ran a lap around in the stadium. We were only 4,000 fans, to do everything we could to maximize. Had a plan for plan A, B, C, D, E through the game. Everything lined up perfect. Then we started fantastic. First 5 minutes, the 4,000 sounded like 40,000. On the front foot, pressed them on top of the game. Corner, good opportunity. Played over us. We have a very front-footed approach on the corners, how we approach that. And Juma running through, can't catch him. 1-0 down. Just standing there, you're thinking, what are you doing? I turned around, smashed my foot into the bin. And then I turned around, no, Thomas, cool, stay cool. For 10 seconds, turned around, smashed my foot into the bin again. And I said, no, cool. And then it was cool. And then we continued, got the penalty to 1-1, keep the pressure. That just raised the level even more. Got the red card to them. Halftime, changed, even more offensive. I need that, so I did it early. So I didn't wait for that goal, but I wanted to do it early. And then it exploded when Marcus Forss scored to 3-1. So that was maybe the best performance that season. It's one of those moments where you work so hard for so many years, and he's never had a big ambition that I want to be in the Premier League. That of course been growing after I went to Brentford, and so okay, now maybe I have an opportunity for that. But you really want to achieve it and try it. So it's the most purest feeling of joy, relief, pride, just running through your body. The only thing I can compare it to is, when my 3 children came to this fantastic earth. So that's such a big thing to achieve. That moment on the pitch was fantastic, and a pretty good after party as well. Our ambitions are to be an asset for the Premier League. We know we're saying we're just a bus stop in Hounslow, but let's just try to underplay it a bit. We have big ambitions. But I think it's very important that it's, actually against nature that we can fight in the Premier League against much bigger clubs, that we even actually get through to go to the Premier League. And we keep being able to fighting and performing well. But to do it very simple, massive focus on winning the next game and end as high as possible.